بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما وفهما سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. We begin in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I regret to inform you that today's story night is cancelled because I'm a backup speaker, so I've not really prepared anything. But I thought, what better thing to say, to share with you, than a story from the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's a very, I guarantee that most people here would know this story already because it's such an essential story, such a famous story that it's typically taught for children. So maybe you will know the story. And in fact, it's not even taught as a story, it's taught as a hadith. And if anyone knows the Arba'in Nawawiyya, the 40 hadith of Arba'in Nawawi, chances are he would have picked up this hadith because it's hadith number 2 on the list. So, and Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah, Yahya bin Sharaf al-Nawawi, who lived near Damascus and died maybe 800 years ago, he compiled a list of 40 ahadith in which he claims to have summarized the fundamentals of Islam. And this hadith is number 2 on his list. Number 2. So you can imagine how fundamental this is. So I'll begin reading it. And Umar, there's a few narrations. There's a narration of Umar, the narration of Abu Hurairah. I also give you the standard Umar narration. عن عمر رضي الله عنه قال بينما نحن جلوس عند رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. So on the authority of Umar ibn Khattab رضي الله عنه, he said, whilst we were sitting, we were gathered and we were chilling, relaxing, chilling, sat عند رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, at the mosque of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. That's what it's implied. ذات يوم, one day, once upon a time. It's even, the narration is fit to be a story. إذ طلع علينا رجل. So طلع is a verb in Arabic. طلعت الشمس, the sun had risen, it came. طلع البدر علينا, the moon or the crescent. So طلع is a verb used here. طلع رجل meaning a man had appeared. So طلع gives the impression that it's appearing out of nowhere. إذ طلع علينا رجل شديد بياض الثياب شديد سواد الشعر. And Umar's description, very similar to Abu Hurairah's description. His clothes were whiter than white, to quote Abu Isa. His hair was blacker than black. So such defining features. لا يرى عليه أثر السفر ولا يعرفه منا أحد. The appearance of a traveler was not seen on him. How can you tell if someone's been traveling or not? Especially back in those days. Yes, go on. They're tired, good. Well done, mashallah. Extra chocolates. Someone throw their chocolate box over. Mashallah. Mashallah. They're tired. So someone will walk in. No one from Medina knows this man. Yet this man walks in as if he's fresh. Clothes whiter than white, hair blacker than black. There is no sand, there is no dust, there is no sweat, there is no blood, nothing. So it's like he's fresh from out of his house. He's just had a bath, he's just cleaned his clothes. But no one from Medina knows him. So this is the first mystery. The mystery man who enters upon the Prophet ﷺ. So he carries on, radiyallahu anhu, because it's Umar who's narrating. This is his narration. لا يرى عليه أثر السفر ولا يعرفه من أحد. Not a single person knows him. So imagine someone walks in now, no one's seen him before. He looks strange because, very clean clothes and very distinctive features, but no one knows him. So everyone would be staring at him and thinking, who is this person? Who is this stranger? Especially in such a close-knit community as Medina. Not like today where we live in a very big city where every day you'll see strangers. That wasn't really the case back then. Seeing a stranger was something big, which is why one of the reasons why hospitality was seen as something big, because strangers were not as common as they are today. And of course, social media makes everyone a stranger, unfortunately. He says, وَلَا يَعْرِفُهُ مِنَّا أَحَدْ حَتَّى جَلَسَ إِلَى النَّبِيِّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم. So he walks all the way to the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. He sits right in front of him. وَأَسْنَدَ رُكْبَتَيْهِ إِلَى رُكْبَتَيْهِ. He puts his knees against his knees. So he sat right in front of him. So we could do a demonstration. I could sit here and Aziz could sit. Anyway, وَوَضَعَ يَدَيْهِ عَلَى فَخِذَيْهِ. He even put his hands on his thighs. So a fakhid is the thigh in Arabic. وَقَالَ يَا مُحَمَّدْ. He said, "O Muhammad." What is the first question he asked? He said, قال يا محمد أخبرني عن الإسلام. Oh Muhammad, that box is yours now. You choose who gets chocolates. أخبرني عن الإسلام. Tell me about Islam. Inform me. Khabar is news, right? أخبرتك, I informed him. So khabar is information, news. أخبرني عن الإسلام. So the Prophet ﷺ does not ask, who are you? He does not ask. So what's important is not just what the Prophet ﷺ said, but what he didn't say. He didn't say, who are you, first of all? What's your name? Where did you come from? So the curiosity that the Prophet ﷺ had did not come in between him and da'wah. He was going to convey the call anyway. In fact, this is a golden opportunity. In Mecca, he was struggling. He was trying to find people he could convey the message to. Now he's got someone coming to him and conveying him the message. This is a golden opportunity. So the Prophet ﷺ straight away begins, Al-Islamu an tashhada an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Back to basics. Islam is number 1, 2, shahada, to bear witness, to testify, to acknowledge, to declare, right? You have to agree to this. An tashhada an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Wa anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, marfu'a. This is the first thing. You have to accept this statement. So in the book club which we just had, we mentioned how Heraclius, the Roman emperor, or a few people in history, they accepted it at face value. They acknowledged that yes, God exists. Muhammad probably, he was a messenger, according to them. But they only stopped at this. They stopped at acknowledging. They didn't go further. They didn't believe it. They didn't accept it. You could acknowledge someone, I could acknowledge Zaidi as being the president, yeah. Am I going to listen to him? Am I going to obey him? That's something else. That's what needs Iman. So just to put Zaidi on the spot, mashallah. طيب. So Iman is not just to acknowledge, yeah, God exists, cool story, full stop. No. هنالك تبعات وعواقب. There's things that you take after it. So if there's a fire in the building, okay, cool, thanks for telling me. Is that the reaction of someone? No. There are implications after this belief that you have of there being a fire. You will take precautions, you will warn people, you will leave the building, you will put the fire alarm, right? So likewise, تشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأن محمد رسول الله is just number 1, and it's not just to state it and accept it as a theoretical construct at face value. No. لها عواقب. And he goes on. So to be a Muslim, number 1 is to accept this and to acknowledge it and to believe in it, right? Number 2, وتقيم الصلاة. And to establish salah. Meaning, if you're sincere in level 1, you will jump to level 2 now. وتقيم الصلاة is not and to pray. تقيم, iqama, establish. Even the word qawm, people, right? Have you ever thought where it comes from? Iqama, qawm. Anyway, I'll leave that to you. Maybe you could come up to me with your useful insights. So iqama, to establish, yawmul qiyamah, the day of standing, the day of establishment. So your salah is not to be prayed, it is to be established. Again, we could spend a whole story night on this, a whole talk on this. وَتُقِيمَ الصَّلَاةِ. What's number 2? Number 3 now. Anyone? Number 3. Who said what? Sidi. تؤتي الزكاة. Are we okay to give him a chocolate as well? No. Oh. Okay. It's okay. He doesn't need one. We'll give it to him after. طيب وتؤتي الزكاة, and to give zakah. Straightforward, right? So you could pray 1,000 rak'ahs a day, 1,000,000 rak'ah, but if you don't spend, if you don't sacrifice from your wealth, if you don't train yourself, because anyone can accept, yeah, this is the money that Allah gave me, it's not my money. Allah is the one who gave me the money. Allah is the one who gives me the hands and the mind to think and to work, right? Anyone could take this theoretically, but for you to take this step and to give some of your hard-earned money to someone else, 2.5% or etc. This is why it's called the sadaqah, because tasdeeqan lil iman. Nothing reinforces or nothing bears truth to your belief more than sadaqah, which is why at-tasdeeq, to believe, to accept, goes hand in hand with sadaqah. وَأَن تُؤْتِيَ الزَّكَاةَ وَتَصُومَ رَمَضَانَ. Fasting in Ramadan, straightforward. The 4th rukn of Arkan Islam, the 4th pillar. وَتَحُجَّ الْبَيْتَ إِنْ اسْتَطَعْتَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا. And to bear pilgrimage to the house, meaning Al-Kaaba, Mecca. إِنْ اسْتَطَعْتَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا. If you are able to. So the Prophet ﷺ is accepting, he's acknowledging that not everyone will be able to do this 5th one. So that's why he added the condition. What's significant about the use of the word arkan, rukn, a pillar? Imagine having a house and having McDougal's, like removing one of the walls or removing one of the pillars. What will happen? Yes. So a house has 5 pillars. If you remove one of them, there are still 4 pillars, right? But the house will still collapse. So these 5 acts of worship are fundamental. You can claim to be a Muslim all you want, but if you are not doing it, or if you are not accepting, or you are not committed to doing it. For example, we're not doing Hajj right now, right? But no one here denies that they have a duty to do Hajj. And no one here will not have the intention of doing Hajj when they're able to. So the difference between not doing it and not intending to do it, right? So we're not praying right now. Right now, we're just in the masjid. But we are people who pray because when the time comes to pray, when the time comes for sadaqah, straightforward, very open logic. So these 5 things are necessary. If one of them is missing, your Islam is collapsed, in the process of collapsing, has already collapsed. Which is why Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu fought the people who said La ilaha illallah. And they even prayed, but they did not give zakat. Meaning, if you mess about with any one of these, you have destroyed your Islam. Moving on, straightforward. I hope this is just a refresher. Hopefully nothing new. So then he said, Sadaqt, this strange Mr. Mystery man said, you're correct. So Umar says, فَعَجِبْنَا لَهُ يَسْأَلُهُ وَيُصَدِّقُهُ. We were so shocked. He's the one who's asking him, and then he's confirming. Yeah? So first of all, he's a stranger, no one knows him. Second of all, he's coming, no introduction, no, my name is this, I'm from this tribe, I've came from this land, I want to stay in your house. None of that. That's what you'd expect a stranger, a traveler to come. None of this. Not only that, he asks a question and now he's the one confirming it. So this is complete madness. This is really strange. The Sahaba now, their attention has been grabbed even more. They're even more hooked on this man. So he says, صدقت. قال فأخبرني له يسأله ويصدقه. We were so shocked at him, asking him and then confirming him. So then the second question he said was, أخبرني عن الإيمان. Tell me about Iman, belief, right? Islam was the first one. Iman is the second one. So the Prophet ﷺ said, now, answering him, أن تؤمن, to believe, billah. First, number one thing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You don't even need revelation. You don't even need Quran or Sunnah to believe in Allah. You are predisposed to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, every single human being. So تؤمن billah is the foundation. وَمَلَائِكَتِهِ, His angels. وَكُتُبِهِ, His books, revelation. وَرُسُلِهِ, and His messages. وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ, and the last day, the day of judgment. Then, not وَالْقَدَرِ خَيْرِ, no. وَأَنْتُؤْمِنَ بِالْقَدَرِ خَيْرِ وَشَرِّهِ. He even specified the word belief again for al-qadar khayrihi wa sharrihi. Because the things mentioned previously, Allah, al-malaika, al-kutub, al-rusul, to believe in them is not necessarily hard. But for you to believe in al-qadar, fate, it takes a level of tawakkul. It has an elevated status. So this is why he specified, he said, أن تؤمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله واليوم الآخر وتؤمن بالقدر خيره وشره. So Rasulullah ﷺ, which he will not speak out of his own accord or out of his own desire or will, he specified أن تؤمن again for qadr, to give you a heads up that this is really important. This is a special level whereby a lot of people will fail or will not get it right. So believing that everything that happens to you is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there is, of course, a famous hadith of the 70,000 people who will enter Jannah without any accountability whatsoever. Straight away ticket, one-way ticket to Jannah. They will not stand before Allah, they will not bear the trials, the tribulations. Imagine straight away going to Jannah. So when the Rasulullah ﷺ was asked about these people, he mentioned a few characteristics. All of the characteristics were to do with this aspect, tawakkul. So meaning someone who has a firm tawakkul in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, firm reliance. He knows that anything happens to him in life, it's okay. Allah's decreed for it. Of course, not to the level where someone is relaxed in life and he's not exerting effort, he's not seeking the means. You don't just sit at home and expect to be fed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. KFC falling from the sky. You don't expect to have a child if you're not married. So al-akhdhu bil-asbab, seeking the means. Yeah, it's that joke, of course. Seeking the means, right? I don't expect for the drink to just jump into my mouth, right? This is seeking a means, right? Bismillah. Or befriending Mustafa so he can make you the tea, right? طيب. So seeking the means goes hand in hand with tawakkul. If you have one or not the other, you're doing it wrong. So seeking means is a rational thing, and having guidance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is here in the heart. You need both of them. Anyway, moving on. So this Mr. Iman again said, Sadaqt. You've spoken the truth, you're correct. Well, as if to say, well done. But of course he didn't say well done. So he said, أخبرني عن الإحسان. This is his third question. He asks him about Ihsan. Yes. Good question. That's what he's asking. So you're asking the same question that person was asking. So let's see the Prophet ﷺ's definition before seeing mine or anyone else's. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, وَهُوَ الصَّادِقُ الْمَصْدُوقُ. Yes.
Well, I'm saying what it is, but he's asking, tell me about it. Not what.
No, he's asking what is it. He's not saying أخبرني. Actually, let's see what he says. You're right, أخبرني. Yes, tell me about it. Yes. أخبرني عن it. Tell me about Ihsan. Good. You're right. Well done, mashallah. أصابت وأخطأ مالك. Mashallah. So Ihsan, let's open it up, see what people say. What is Ihsan? Ihsan, the closest maybe we'll get is yeah? That's that definition. I mean, linguistically, you're right, but linguistically. Is anyone called Hassan here? Good. So the closest word in Arabic in English is excellence. So Ahsan al-Shay'i, he excelled in it. He did it really well. So the name Hassan, Hussein, Ihsan, Husna maybe, or Hasna, whatever it is. So it comes from the word excellence, near perfection. When something is, done to a very, the highest standard. Again, that's the closest word we'll get in English because it's a deficient language in this regard. So he says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Al-Ihsanu an ta'bud Allah ka'annaka tarah. We've accepted before. Someone doing the 5 pillars. Done, check. Someone believing in X, Y, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Check. This is the highest level now. An ta'bud Allah ka'annaka tarah. To worship Allah as if you can see Him. Wow. To worship Allah as if you can see Him. فَإِن لَمْ تَكُنْ تَرَاهُ فَإِنَّهُ يَرَاكَ. But if you don't see Him, which is the case for everyone, no one can see Allah. أن تعبد الله كأنك, to worship Allah as if you can see Him. But if you can't see Him, which this is drawing you back to the reality, you can't see Allah, فَإِنَّهُ يَرَاكَ. You're always reminded that even if you can't see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He can see you. I'll ask you a quick question. So let's spend a bit of time reflecting on this hadith. If you can see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how will your life be different? What would you do differently in your life? You can see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now, right? Anyone else? If you can see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how different will your life be? I'm going to start picking on people. Or maybe I'll pity you, and I won't. We can all say, everyone knows inside in his heart. Yes?
Some people would do more sins because then if we can see Him, then people would say that He's in one place and He won't see you in another place.
Oh no, not true. People act over the top when they're being watched on a camera or when someone's watching them, right? Or when they're being recorded, right? People freak out. But someone who knows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching him all the time, he wouldn't freak out. His life is lived in a way where he's being watched. Your life is the same whether people are watching you or not. So, mashallah, help yourself to some more chocolates. Inshallah. Okay, good. طيب, الإحسان أن تعبد الله كأنك تراه. To worship Allah as if you see Him. I think it's safe to say every single person in this room, if you are able to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will not sin. Your life will be lived according to its purpose. Not just in theory, but in practice. Waking up at night, waking up, at midday because you slept late, and None of this. Laziness, out of the window. Living a haphazard lifestyle, out of the window. Chilling with your friends as if you can chill forever, out of the window. The acts might not be haram, but it's not a case of seeking out what's haram and then not doing it, accepting the bare minimum, the 40%. No, you will be someone who is excelling. So أن تعبد الله كأنك تراه فإن لم تكن تراه فإنه يراك. Let's, for the sake of simplicity and relatability, draw a parallel. Let's give an example of 3 employees. They come and work for, I'm going to say Zaidi or Aziz, but let's say they come and work for the manager, the CEO of a company, right? The first employee is just the Muslim, meaning he just comes, does the bare minimum, right? The bare minimum. Whatever I need just so I can get my paycheck, I'm doing that. Just so I can be saved from being fired, I'm doing that. I'll come in 9 a.m. I'll leave 4 or 5 a.m., right? When it's my lunch break, out of the door. The minute my lunch finishes, I'll come back in. I'm just doing what I'm told to do, right? When my manager's there, I might work harder, naturally. When my manager's not there, I'm not gonna not do anything, but I could take my time. Typically, this is the life of employment for anyone who will begin it soon. So, it's an average Joe. You get loads of them. Let's look at the mu'min now. He is excelling. He's not just working for the paycheck. How different do you think the mu'min will be? What will be his characteristics now? Are you going to have your hand up? Or 24/7? No, not 24/7. Is that a hand or is that a thought? Okay. Anyone want to guess? Yeah, maybe he's not doing the bare minimal now. Right? He genuinely believes that, the belief he has of receiving his paycheck and getting a promotion and not being fired permeates and expands and progresses and evolves beyond just a case of being in the office or being out. It's more than just being ticked in for being present and not absent. His work has more substance to it. When it comes to being on time, he's really on time. When it comes to not being late, he really makes sure he's not late. He's got something that he's working towards. He's not just working towards getting a paycheck and not being fired. There's a promotion. There's gaining contacts. There's gaining experience. There's something more to it. So he is beyond just the first level employee. The third employee, how do you think he will be?
What's the third employee again?
The muhsin. The one who worships Allah as if he can see him. But if he can't see Allah, he knows that Allah is watching him.
That would be the perfect employee.
Give us the perfect employee then.
So basically anything the manager would want to be done, he'd do it, even if the manager wasn't there.
Even if the manager didn't tell him to do it. Even if not just the manager, if he was in a room by himself, he will just study. Most people here, being students, you will only do your work when they're dying tomorrow, right? There's living examples who are not here today, right now, because they're in the library. I know they're doing the work. And they told me, they apologized for this reason. So this muhsin is not waiting to be told of a punishment in order to work, or he's not waiting to be told of a reward. He knows what he's buying himself into. He knows what is at stake. When it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who is watching you. So you might not be seeing Allah, but Allah is watching you. When you come to this realization, this makes you a next level human being, a next level Muslim, a next level mu'min. You're someone who's far above. You don't have to be told necessarily to do something. And you don't have to be encouraged so many times. You just know it. So ihsan is a very high status, which again, it's not impossible. You can reach it. If you work hard for it, you can reach it. Every single person in this room. It's hard and not hard at the same time because it's not impossible. It can be reached. Of course, the means to reaching it needs a bit of effort, consistency, and you have to really want it. There's a big difference between, oh yeah, I want to get first, yeah, and no, I really want to get first. I'm going to work for it. I'm going to study for it. So when you really want something in life, you will seek the means to achieving it. So the status of ihsan, you could say your first piece of homework is to look at what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. Whenever Allah says, al-muhsinun, al-muhsinin. Which ayahs does Allah mention this word in? Right? This is practical advice that I'm giving you now. Yani khayrul huda min kitabillah. The best guidance is from the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is the one who defined what success is, what failure is. Allah is the one who set the rules. So go back to his book to see what the marking scheme is. So go and see where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how he described the muhsineen to be. There's a few passages in the Quran. If you want at the end, I can give you some. But this is what you should be doing if you want to set a tangible goal in your life. طيب, without spending too much time, we'll carry on. What is the last thing that the mystery man asked? So there was more to it than just the three statuses or the three stations of Islam. Yes, Sidi.
Yes, about the signs of the Day of Judgment.
Good. He asked about the signs of judgment. Yes. Mrs. Gap, yes. Were you having your hand up?
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
What should I stay away from?
No, not really, but it's something similar. He has asked him about Islam. He's asked him about Iman. He's asked him about Ihsan. And now he asks him about something seemingly different. Sorry?
The final hour.
Very good, very good. Chocolates for her as well. MashaAllah. The final hour. فَأَخْبِرْنِي عَنِ السَّاعَةِ inform me, tell me about as-sa'ah, the hour, meaning the day of judgment, the end of times. Can anyone think, why is he asking about as-sa'ah now? Any wisdoms? Khalas, at the end we'll mention a few. So yes.
He wants to know when the world's going to end.
Who doesn't want to know when the world's going to end, right? We all do. In fact, if you come and say to someone, I'm going to speak to you about Islam, probably, I'll be bored to death. Oh, Iman, I'll talk about Iman, I'll talk about Ihsan, right? Tell him Dajjal, the masjid is full. Tell him jinns, tell him Ya'juj and Ma'juj, the masjid is full, right? I guarantee you. So this is a topic that people like to hear about. But the Prophet ﷺ is saying, مَا الْمَسْئُولُ عَنْهَا بِأَعْلَمَ مِنَ السَّائِلِ. The person who is being asked knows no more about it than the person who is asking. Meaning, you're asking me, I don't know any more about it than you do. Meaning, when that hour comes, this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, only He knows when it will come. So the idea is, a deadline is approaching. Knowing when it is might not be important. What's more important is you working for it, right? Coronavirus. Wallahi alim, today I went to do some shopping for a friend. In Asda, the spaghetti is all sold out, every single type. Even the cheap types of spaghetti, wallahi, they're all sold out. Smart price spaghetti, I couldn't even find it. The hand sanitizers sold out. Like, I think I'm a millionaire now because the hand sanitizers, the soap, Dettol, all gone. People are genuinely freaking out. Wallahi, people are genuinely. What are they freaking out about? The concept of dying, which is inevitable anyway. Like, you're going to die one day. Like, you can't live without dying. You can't live without dying. Maalik is sat in front of you. Maalik is alive. Therefore, Maalik will die. QED. That's a logical statement. So every single person is going to die one day. But when you live your life in a way which you are negating the prospect of death, right? You're negating it. You're just not paying attention to it because it's convenient for you. You are freeing yourself of the responsibilities of this Islam, Iman, Ihsan. Then yes, you are someone who is living a very inconsistent life. So one of the reasons why this was mentioned is because sometimes Islam, Iman, Ihsan, this is what people need for their success, but it doesn't turn them on. It doesn't excite them. But reminding someone of death, or not just your death, the death of the world, the death, the end of time, the end of civilization, this is something that it wakes up every single person. The most hardcore atheists, the laziest people in the world that you'll ever see, who they know the Hadith and the Quran, and they know all that, but they're just still really lazy. The last hour is something that wakes and shakes every single person, and there is no exception. And if it doesn't shake you and make you, then I don't know what will, other than when you are resurrected and you see Jahannam and you see Yawm al-Qiyamah. So he's saying, أخبرني عن الساعة. فقال صلى الله عليه وسلم ما المسؤول عنها بأعلم من السائل. فقال, so he replied, فأخبرني عن أماراتها. Fine, tell me then about its signs. So the word used is amara. So then the Prophet ﷺ, he will start, and again he could have mentioned so many signs. In other hadith he told us about this thing happening and this earthquake and this comet and this civilization and this guy will rise and this guy will die and the Kaaba will be destroyed and the sun. So many, like again, we could spend many story nights talking about the signs of the Day of Judgment. So many of them. Some more authentic, some less authentic. Some have already happened. Some will happen. Some are happening right now. Right now, as we speak, they're being boiled and they're being cooked. And maybe in a few years' time, maybe by the time you have children, or by the time you have grandchildren even, so many of the signs would have passed by then. Anyway, the point is not to have despair, the point is to be proactive, okay? So these are the signs that he chose, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Of all the things, these are the things he mentioned. He said, number one, أن تلد الأمة ربتها. You seem very shocked and surprised, no? Is there something else? Okay. أن تلد الأمة ربتها. What does talid mean? If I tell you لم يلد ولم يولد. Is that a hand or? No. أن تلد الأمة ربتها. Meaning ama means someone who is owned but for a female, a slave girl. Abd is for a male usually and ama is for a female. So a name in Arabic is Abdullah. The female equivalent is Amatullah. So it's basically someone who is owned. So أن تلد الأمة ربتها. That the owned female or the girl that is owned, so the slave who is a female will give birth to her master. What does this mean? This is almost as big a mystery as the mystery man himself. Yes?
The mother of the Rasul.
Yeah, explain it to me. Have you ever seen a mother giving birth to her master? ربتها, the one who provides for her. مش سيدتها أو ربتها. Who will give birth, which woman in the world will give birth to someone who will then be providing for her? Yeah. Okay, fine. That's the last thing I was going to mention. Well, you're right, Jawad. You're right. I shouldn't really give you chocolates, but because we already discussed the answer. But yes, so me and Jawad, we were exchanging ideas and we came to this conclusion. Jazakallah khair. Jawad, would you like to come and present? طيب, historically, the mufassiri, the scholars of the time who lived so many thousands of years ago, within their paradigm of understanding, they said this will be a time when children talk back to their parents. So هذا كان المعنى الظاهر. This was the apparent meaning. They couldn't conceive anything else. Right? But today, you have more explanations coming. Things that the ulama who lived back in the 1,000 years ago, hundreds of years ago, could never have conceived. One of them is al-amatu an talid al-amatu rabbataha, meaning the woman or the owned girl will give birth to the one who owns her or the one who provides for her. Number one is, I've seen an explanation, this is not my theory, this is someone else's theory, the rise of young millionaires, young billionaires, who then, their parents are the ones who are trying to seek their pleasure. Even in society, a lot of people, I don't hold this to be in as high a regard, this opinion, but it's worth mentioning anyway. So people, where societal changes and shifts happen, such that it's the young people who are basically ruling society, or who are in charge of the family. And of course, in this country, children's rights are given more precedence than parental rights. The child can tell the parent what to do, the parent can't tell the child what to do. And it's only going to head in a worse direction anyway. This is, maybe it's valid, Allahu A'lam, but I prefer our other theory. طيب, we are living in a bit of a bubble. Meaning, when you were born 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 9 years ago, mashallah, 9 years ago, there seemed to be an illusion of stability. The world was peaceful, the world was stable, there was no major wars, not at least within your immediate vicinity. And everyone grew up in this world which everyone was civilized. There's politics, there's rules. If you want to have a fight with someone, if someone's upset you, if someone's broken the law, there's a law in place, there's a law being enforced, even to some extent on a global level. So on an international level, right? Take Europe for example, the EU. Like Europe has never ever had 100 years without going into war. Like a detrimental war, not just any war. So This last one was the Second World War. Before it, the First World War. Before it, the Franco-Prussian War, Germany and France. Before it, you had the 7 Years' War, the Napoleonic Wars, then the 7 Years' War. You had the 30 Years' War. so many years' wars, so many wars. So the idea is that human nature never changes. But we have lived in a time right now where we are in Europe, where there's not been any major wars. After World War II, people finally think that, okay, we're all mature now. It's the motto even in the centenary, when they all met in the First World War, you know, when the German Chancellor hugged Emmanuel Macron, the motto was never again. Meaning those terrible wars that we fought to destroy each other, it's never going to happen. We're all mature now. So this is an illusion. History is a repeat. And probably the next big war in Europe is likely to happen in our lifetimes. So the idea being that we grew up in a world where slavery does not exist. It does exist. The reason why you can afford such cheap clothes and cheap electronics and cheap things left, right and center is because people, employees slash slaves, have made these cheap products for you in China or in Vietnam or in Bangladesh or in whatever country they came from. So slavery does exist, maybe not on paper, but it exists in practice. Anyway, slavery is something which exists, has always existed throughout time, and it will continue to exist. And later on, when things get messed up, Europe breaks up, the world breaks up, chaos happens, slavery will be revived again. It's just drawing on the past in order to reach the conclusions of the future. So when slavery happens again, you will have people who will utilize slaves for organs. That's the case. And there will be people who will use, for example, if you have a rich family who own slaves, a female slave could be used as a surrogate's mother in order to facilitate and to remove the burdens of carriage from the main woman. So if you have a king and a queen, right? Instead of the queen going through the pains of labor, there's going to come a time when it's fashionable for you to instead use the fertilized egg and deploy it in the womb of a surrogate mother, someone you own. This will give you the most precise definition of the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Wallahu, this is what I think is a stronger opinion. It goes to show that the hadith, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam prophesied things that can never ever be imagined and conceived in the minds of those Sahaba who came before. The aspects of the Dajjal, all these things, if you said it at the time, you'd think, that's so crazy. How can that happen? But they believed in it because they knew that the person who was saying it was honest. Today, a lot of these prophecies further reinforce the fact that the Prophet ﷺ was not a liar. Rather, every single thing he uttered was the truth. So that's just one explanation. So number one, أن تلد الأمة ربتها. Is this clear? Does anyone need explanation? No one's confused. Aziz is not confused, so we'll carry on. طيب, أن تلد الأمة ربتها. Of course, it sounds science fiction. But your life right now, if you were to go back 100 years ago and say, we've got cameras, we've got phones, we've got laptops, we've got this thing called the microphone, which, can raise your voice. People will tell you you're living in a science fiction world. You must be stupid. But here we are living in their world of fantasy. So who's there to say that in the next 100 years, they will be living a lifestyle such that we would never imagine. So the only constant in history is change. Change is the only thing that is always happening and will continue to happen. You're not living like your parents, and your children will not be living in the same life that you had. It's always changing, especially in this day and age. So sign number one, أن تلد الأمة ربتها وأن ترى الحفاة العراة العالة رعاء الشاء يتطاولون في البنيان. And for you to see الحفاة, the barefooted people, العراة, the naked, the unclothed people. So people who are so primitive, they can't even afford shoes, they can't even afford clothes. رعاء الشاء, the people who look after the animals, the sheep herders, the camel herders, right? يتطاولون في البنيان. Conventionally, I'll give you the conventional meaning of this, and then I'll give you our 21st century insights, inshallah, from me and Jawad. Anyone knows what the ulama said about this aspect? How did they define this? The unclothed, the naked people, the people who are herders of camels and sheep and animals, but being elevated, being raised in their buildings, or racing against each other in their buildings. What does that mean? Conventionally. If anyone's read any explanations of the ulama. Yes, Sidi.
So from like historically, it was the Persians and the Romans who were known for like building tall structures, not the Arab Bedouins who were being addressed at the time. So that was quite strange to me. So it was like another prediction which seems outlandish, but came to fruition later on.
Good. So it's most people have attributed it to the Arabs, because in the desert you're barefooted, you look after your animals, and now the two tallest towers in the world are actually in the Gulf region, in Saudi Arabia and in Emirat. So conventionally it's been referred to these guys. However, again, let's try to extrapolate. Are those people like barefooted? Are they unclothed? They're actually the richest people ever. So in other hadith, they refer to them. Yes, specifically the Bedouin Arabs are mentioned. But this hadith, I don't think it refers to them. Do you have your hand up? No? It's okay, just say anything anyway, even if you didn't have your hand up.
What's the stranger's name?
We'll come to that, inshallah. We all know who the stranger is. طيب. Think of a dystopian future. Think of London. I was going to say 100 years later, but think of it now. Where do all the poor people live? Do the poor people live close to the ground in big mansions, 2 stories, or do they live in Grenfell Tower? Yes, dystopian futures, all the poor people, if you don't have anything, if you're a debt slave, or what, you're going to be living in a high-rise apartment. فهذا تصديق قول رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. This is the broader meaning. This is the broader, and in my eyes, wallahu a'lam, more befitting meaning of the prophecy of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. Poor people, the people who don't own anything, you can't even afford a pair of shoes. You can't even afford to, cover yourself properly. And you're looking after grazing the animals, right? Imagine in a world where you have high-tech jobs, you have machines, you have factories, you have AI, you have coders, you have people, space tourism and whatnot. And people, looking after animals, really, that would probably be one of the lowest jobs at the time. So these people, when they're living in high-rise apartments, that's probably the dystopian future that we're heading towards. So the prophecies of the Prophet ﷺ are timeless. He is the one who is honest. He could have never came up with this from his own accord. But the highest form of Iman is that of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, where when the Quraysh told him, your friend, he's claiming to have been to Quds, to Jerusalem, and back on a flying horse. Who are you listening to? You really believe this man? What was his reaction? He said, إن قالها فقد صدق. إني لأصدقه في أكبر من ذلك. إني لأصدقه في وحي السماء. If he said it, he is honest. I don't care, however crazy it sounds, if he said it, he's honest. Meaning the highest status of Iman is where you believe someone because he's honest. It might make sense to you, it might not. But you believe the source. As long as the source is correct, then it makes sense. As long as the source is authentic, and which source could be more authentic, it could be more truthful and honest than the Prophet ﷺ. So there comes a time whereby you're not reliant on signs of the last day. You're not reliant on making sure that the Prophet ﷺ, his prophecy is correct or not. You've passed that beyond. You believe something far greater than these prophecies, the slave girl giving birth to her master, or the high-rise apartments, or the Dajjal, or the AI, or all these signs which the Prophet ﷺ foretold. Your Iman should not be based on these primitive prophecies. It should be based on something higher. Just out of the blue, anyone ever thought or asked, why does the Dajjal have one eye? Why does Al-Masih al-Dajjal have one eye? If you close your eye now and you see the world, how different is it? Or if you have a camera that has only one lens, not two, what do you like? What do you like? You like what? You see less. Not just you see less, just you see a bit less, not too much less, but what do you like? Depth. You can see the world through a very, very primitive lens. So at the time of the Dajjal, people will be fed and clothed all from, you could say, what Amazon is trying to do, for example, completely from the start of when it rains, the clouds and the rain and the crops growing and the harvest, everything is being done by robots in a way whereby we think we don't need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there will come a time when people lack depth, They can't question beyond this. Meaning they think they don't need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala anymore. They're being fed, they're being clothed, they're having fun. And within their small bubble they've created of living such a 5-star lavish lifestyle, such sustainability, they think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need to exist now. It's happening today, but it's going to be even worse later on. Imagine a person, human being, from birth all the way till death, every single aspect of his life is being accounted for. Robots, artificial intelligence, industries, everything. Even if you could sit at home and you could just order from Amazon and drones will come and deliver your food to you. So it's just going to be at a click of a button, instantly you get everything you need. So it's going to be a standard of living such that the world had never seen before, and such that will lead to the rise in atheism and the lack in morality, such that the world had never seen before. So this lack of depth, seeing the world through a very superficial lens, where you are dumbed down to not question and to not think about where you came from. The miracles of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. People living in such a artificial, robotic life, that maybe there'll come a time where they don't even know what a tree is, or what a tree looks like. Because they've been living such artificial lives all that. So, the lack of depth. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Umar carries on actually. He says, قال ثم انطلق فلبثت مليا. Then the person left, انطلق. So the first verb is طلع. Then انطلق. He departed, he went on his way. فلبثت مليا. So I remained a bit for a small while. ثم قال لي. Then the Prophet ﷺ said to me, يا عمر, O Umar, أتدري من السائل? Do you know who the person asking was? قلت الله ورسوله أعلم. I said, Allah and His Messenger know best. قال, he said, إنه جبريل. It is Jibreel. أتاكم يعلمكم دين. He came to what? يعلمكم دين. He came to teach you your religion. So Islam can be summarized in this, but also there is a hikmah. He came to teach you your religion, but he also chose to include and to ask about signs of the last day as well. So the science of eschatology, the end of times also, there was a wisdom why he mentioned it. Again, to motivate, yes?
So the Rasul knew who it was.
Yeah. Did he know instantly when he walked in? Or did he know eventually through working it out? Or did he know after? Allahu A'lam. One very interesting thing about this hadith is that most verses of the Quran came in a way which we can't comprehend. They came in a way which we can't observe. Jibreel didn't come and everyone is seeing him, especially not in his angelic form with his wings and his, radiance. Most of the time it came in a way whereby it was unseen. You will see the effects of the Prophet on the Prophet ﷺ. You'll see him shaking, shivering. You'll see him sweating. If you were sat next to him and he's leaning on you and the wahy came down, he will be very heavy such that if he was leaning on you, you would collapse. So he would be in a state of, in a severe state. But this was maybe the only time, or maybe actually it wasn't the only time, but it was one of very, very few instances where Jibreel came and took the form of a human being. Why do you think this was the case? Could he not have sent it as a wahi to the Prophet ﷺ and then he just tells the Sahaba? Why did this happen? Yes? Again?
Like no one actually agreed to come and pretend to be the stranger.
Say, what was the first word you said? Sorry.
Like no one agreed to be the stranger.
No one agreed to be the stranger. Number one, there is the aspect of... Yes?
It's more relatable.
How?
Because you see another human being who's asking this question.
Yeah. First of all, drama. Like I bet you will learn things through a film without you learning them, right? Like if you watch a film, you will learn all the names of the characters, right? Let's say Harry Potter and Ron Weasley and Hermione Granger, right? I pick them all up, right? However, if I come and show you a face of Harry Potter and a face of Ron and a face of Hermione and a face of this person, and Snape and Dumbledore, and just tell you to memorize it, you're not going to pick it up. But you watching it through a drama, through a narrative, through it being acted, performed, you pick it up. So he came to teach you your religion. And it's not just what he said and the information he conveyed. The way he conveyed it was very important. Scholars say that when it comes to seeking knowledge, and it's something that every single person in this room should be doing. No one has an excuse. Wallahi, I don't have an excuse. No one here has an excuse. You have to seek that which benefits you. And your religion benefits you more than anything else. If you look at the world through an objective lens, right? Being literate, being educated in your religion is very important. So not only what he said was important, the way he said it in a very significant way. First of all, آداب طلب العلم. The student, Jibreel, he came and he sat on the floor, right? He sat like this. He sat like this in front of him, with his hands like this. So it's basically one-on-one reception, okay? So this is one of the adab of seeking knowledge. Respecting your teacher, and appreciating the importance of what he is doing. He is giving you life. You know, your HP or your mana, and if you play games, right? He is giving you that. In fact, Imam al-Ghazali says, rahimahullah, the favor of the teacher on a person, on a younger boy or a young girl, is greater than the favor of the parents on the boy or the girl. He says because the parents, what did they give the child? They gave him a physical body. They're the reason he's born. They are the reason for his physical existence. But the teacher is the one who instills values and morals. The teacher is the one who educates him. The teacher is the one who elevates him beyond just a physical presence, which he shares with animals, you know. A cow, a dog, a horse, a donkey, a monkey. They all have a physical feature. So you're no different to an animal, but your knowledge makes you different, right? Your values make you different. Your belief in Allah makes you different. So this is what the teacher gives to the student. So he says, فَضْلُ الْمُعَلِّمِ, the favor of the teacher is far greater on a person than the favor of parents. طيب. So number one, آداب طلب العلم, the etiquette of how you seek knowledge. Number two, the way this was done gave justice to what is being said. You know, Jibreel himself, he had to come. He had to take a physical form. He had to come and let all the Sahaba hear him. He had to come and be observed. Why? Because this thing that he's saying is really important. He came and summarized Islam. He came and mentioned the main points. He came and told them about the signs of the last day. So if I tell you, for example, hey guys, there's a fire at McDougal's, by the way. Yeah, we should all leave right now, right? How different is this to, guys, there's a fire, please evacuate the room, right? It's a very different approach. So he said it in a way that gave his words justice. If it were just a case of maybe Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying it would be enough. But the fact that Jibreel came down, you know, he came down, he sat, you know, the angel in a human form sat down with them, speaking, asking, you know, it's a conversation. So this is really, really important. Rawahu Muslim, narrated in Muslim. So this was the end of the hadith. I hope that we didn't rush it too much. I hope that also we didn't spend too long on it, such that, I hope that we spent the time we needed on it.